Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have some easy Christmas card ideas I want to share. And these card ideas feature a great way to use up your scrap paper. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have two different card ideas that I want to share with you that feature just a fun way to use up your scrap paper. It's also a great way to use your Christmas greetings to decorate your card. Now, the cards in this video feature the Peaceful Seasons stamp set from Stampin Up. However, keep in mind you can use any stamp set you have on hand to add your greetings to these Christmas trees. All right, so let me show you how to make these. Okay, so this is the card that I'm going to show you how to make. It's just a rustic style Christmas card. And I used a variety of different pattern papers from the Country Woods Designer Series paper pack. However, you can use any kind of designer paper. You can use cardstock, however you want to create your Christmas tree. Basically, the measurements for creating all these little pieces are going to be the same. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut a piece of crumb cake cardstock, which is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And actually you're going to cut two, one for the outside and one for the inside. Next, you're going to take some crumb cake ink and just a little sponge wedge. And you're just going to add some ink to the edges of the cardstock pieces. And this will just give a rustic look to your cards. The next thing you want to do is you want to find some scrap pieces of pattern paper or cardstock, whatever you want to use. In this case, I'm using some pattern paper. It's already the wood grain pattern paper, so it works perfect. And you're going to cut 6 pieces. So the smallest ones at the top and the largest ones at the bottom. And each of the pieces are a 1/2 inch wide. So the length of these pieces, starting at the top, is 3/4 inches. 1 1/4 inches, 2 1/4 inches, 2 3/4 inches, 3 1/4 inches, and 3 3/4 inches. So basically you want to have your little pieces, your little 1/2 inch wide pieces, just to be a little different size so that when you put the card together, it just gives it a really nice rustic look, and it also kind of gives the illusion of a tree. So notice how I have lighter colored pieces and then in between I have the darker color pieces. So I kind of alternated the different colors, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to do my stamping on these lighter color pieces, and then these darker color pieces are just going to fill in my tree. So you can see here the lighter color pieces have the greeting stamped on them, and then these darker ones do not. So that's the way I set up my tree, but you can really do it, any way you want to. So the next thing I'm going to do is just add some ink to these lighter color pieces just to make them stand out a little bit. So I'm just brushing a little bit of that crumb cake ink, just kind of all around the edges of these pieces. So notice how this ink just kind of makes these pieces stand out a little bit more from that crumb cake cardstock. And it just gives it a really fun rustic look. All right, so now that we have our pieces ready, we can go ahead and stamp on all of these little pieces here that are the lighter color pieces. So I just chose some of the smaller greetings, the ones that I knew that would fit on these 1/2 inch wide pieces. And like I said, you can use any greetings you want, but I just chose this Keep in Your Heart and Cheer All Year. So I'm just going to use some early espresso ink, and basically I'm just going to stamp each of these words on the corresponding little pieces here. So of course my smallest word is going to be at the top here, and then In Your Heart is going to go next. And then Cheer All Year. And that's all there is to it for creating the little pieces. All right, so now that we have all our pieces created and stamped, I just flipped them upside down. I added some dimensionals to the back, and I put them in the order that I want to adhere them to my little piece of crumb cake cardstock here. But before I do that, I'm going to add a 1/4 inch wide piece of just the same kind of pattern paper that I used to create the tree. This is going to be the trunk or the whole part of the tree. So I just cut a 1/4 by 4.5 inch piece, and this is going to go right down the center, and this is what we are going to adhere all those little branches to. So I'm just going to add some glue on here. And this will help you kind of keep everything in line so that as you adhere it, you know, down the center of the cardstock, you have this little piece in the middle here. Kind of the trunk of the tree is down here. You have this piece to just kind of guide everything. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add a little star. Now you can use any punch or die that you have to create your little star. I just used a retired punch to create my little star. And I just punched it out of some of the wood grain paper. So that's going to go at the top. And then we're going to start by adhering these pieces down this 1/4 inch piece. So I'm going to adhere them on a little bit of an angle, and we're going to leave a little bit of space between the star and this piece. And basically we're just going to go through and we're just going to angle these as we go. And it'll just give such a really cool look. So notice how I'm angling and I'm overlapping a little bit, leaving a little bit of space in between. And then this last one can just go like that. All right, so that gives you the basic idea. You just kind of turn them a little bit and angle them all the way down. And then you can go ahead and add this to your card base. So I just have a standard card base. It's Early Espresso cardstock. It is 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4.25 inches. And that is how I created the base of the card. So we'll just add some glue to the back of this crumb cake cardstock and add this right in the center of the card. And then you can add whatever you want to decorate it. I just used some of this buffalo check ribbon, just a little scrap piece of ribbon. You can just tie a little knot in it and then trim down the edges. So I just kind of angled these. And so that's just going to go right on the top. So I just used a little glue dot, stuck it right on the top here, and then added this little bow in there. Then I just took a little bit of linen thread, tied 2 pieces together just to create this little bow, and I'm just going to put that kind of right next to the knot. We'll just kind of decorate the top. And then the last thing I did is I just used one of my punches. Again, this is a retired punch, but you can use any punches that you have. I'm just adding a little heart right on the side here with a little bit of glue. And before I added this heart, this is cut from Real Red cardstock, I just added a little bit of crumb cake ink kind of around the edges of the heart so it wasn't so bold and so bright. So that is really the basis of how you create this little tree. And like I said, you can create it any way that you want to. Then the second card idea just uses different colored paper. So this time I went with the grays and added an embossed white background. I still used the same words, to create my tree. All the measurements for these pieces are identical to what I used here. I just decorated it differently with a little white and silver bow and then a little silver star on the top. So there's lots of different ways that you can use this fun little tree making technique. So I hope these card ideas have inspired you to just play around with the scrap pieces of pattern paper or the scrap pieces of cardstock that you have on hand. Okay, so there you go. Now you have a fun way to use your scrap papers to create some Christmas tree cards. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.